Harry and Meghan face being snubbed from the biggest Hollywood wedding of the year. This is going to be humiliating for Harry and Meghan.
This is Harry and Meghan's worst nightmare. It's devastating. It's a setback. For Harry, in my opinion, James, I think it's existential. So financially, he's in the doo-doo.
Hollywood's abandoned him.
Why has the nuclear button not been pressed of essentially throw him out?
We are sitting on
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's latest problem may sound, at first, like celebrity gossip. A rumoured wedding, a guest list, and the possibility that the Sussexes will not be invited. But beneath the surface, the story is much bigger than whether Harry and Meghan attend one glamorous event. It is about status. It is about the way Hollywood decides who is useful, who is risky, who is still powerful, and who's become more trouble than they are worth. And if reports are accurate that the couple are not expected to be part of a major Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau wedding circle, then the symbolism is obvious. Harry and Meghan did not leave royal life simply to become private people. They left to become global figures. They wanted philanthropy, celebrity, politics, media, business, and moral influence all at once. So when the very world they tried to enter appears to keep them outside the gates, it is not just embarrassing, it exposes the weakness of the entire post-royal project. The first thing to say is that the wedding itself...
This is going to be humiliating for Harry and Meghan. Hollywood is turning its back on the Sussexes. Here's the story, Mark. The Sunday Express has reported exclusively that Harry and Meghan face being snubbed from the biggest Hollywood wedding of the year. Mark, Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau are set to wed. That's the rumour around town, right? That's the rumour in Tinseltown that Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau are going to get married later this year. It's going to be the Hollywood event of the year, perhaps the Hollywood event of the decade. Major political power brokers are going to be...
remains in the realm of celebrity reporting. Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau have been publicly linked for a year, have appeared together, and have become one of the stranger but most discussed power couples in entertainment and politics. Perry is a global pop star. Trudeau is a former Prime Minister of Canada and the son of one of Canada's most famous political families. If they do marry, it would naturally attract entertainers, political figures, donors, media executives, and celebrity friends from both worlds. That is exactly the kind of room Harry and Meghan would once have expected to enter easily. It blends Meghan's entertainment background with Harry's ambition to be seen as a global humanitarian and soft power figure. In theory, it should be their natural habitat. That is why even an unconfirmed snub carries meaning. A-list social life is not only about friendship, it is a public ranking system. Weddings, galas, premieres, charity dinners, foundation summits, private islands, award after-parties, and political salons all tell the world who belongs where. The guest list is the message.
This is Harry and Meghan's worst nightmare. The Sussex brand is in meltdown. And this is a double snub because it's Katy Perry snubbing Meghan, whose background is in the world of entertainment as a TV actress. Katy Perry, one of the most famous singers in the world. So that's a blow to Meghan. Meanwhile, Justin Trudeau.
Being invited says you are useful, trusted, glamorous, safe, and still part of the circle. Being excluded says the opposite, or at least raises the question. Harry and Meghan know this better than most. Their own wedding in 2018 was a statement of power and arrival, packed with celebrities who barely knew them, because the monarchy and Hollywood were colliding in a way that felt new, exciting, and commercially irresistible. 8 years later, the glamour has cooled. Now the question is not which stars want to be seen with them. The question is which stars are actively trying not to be drawn into their drama. The reported Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau angle is particularly sharp because each of them represents something the Sussexes want. Perry represents the entertainment world. Meghan tried to re-enter after leaving royal duty. Streaming, celebrity branding, red carpets, lifestyle, music industry visibility, and cultural relevance. Trudeau represents the world Harry has tried to inhabit: statesmen, former leaders, international causes, speeches, summits, and public service outside elected office.
Barack Obama,
Yep.
an ex-prime minister like Trudeau, he sees himself as a sort of George Clooney figure,
Yep.
if you like. You know, you've got your business interests and you've got your career, but you're trying to make the world a better place. Keynote speeches. Of course, there are other examples of people that Harry models himself on. That's why he's got Invictus. He wants to kind of transcend his royal status. Well, good luck with that when the ex-prime minister of Canada...
Together, they create exactly the kind of glamorous, globally connected couple Harry and Meghan have tried to be. So if that couple does not want the Sussexes near the wedding story, the optics sting on both sides. Meghan is not essential to the Hollywood guest list. Harry is not essential to the political philanthropic guest list. Of course, there may be a simple explanation. They may not be close. Not every famous person invites every other famous person. Weddings can be private, even for celebrities. A couple may choose real friends over famous names. In fact, that is often the more mature choice. But the reason this story resonates is that Harry and Meghan have spent years cultivating the impression that they belong among the most powerful names in American cultural life. They arrived in California with Oprah Winfrey as an ally, Tyler Perry as a protector, Netflix and audio deals, proximity to the Clooneys, the aura of royal escape, and the sense that every major name wanted a piece of the Sussex story. If that has changed, then the wedding rumour becomes a small window into a larger social downgrade.
So that's why you see it's so devastating for Harry and Meghan not to be invited to this wedding, Katy Perry and Trudeau, is because Harry and Meghan's brand is that we're part of this world. That's how they identify as global celebrities. So if they're not there, well, then they're not global celebrities and they're not players in Hollywood. So it demonstrates that not only are they irrelevant.
The problem for Harry and Meghan is not that Hollywood hates them. Hollywood is rarely that emotional. The problem is that Hollywood is practical. It rewards success, momentum, and usefulness. It also avoids unnecessary risk. A guest who brings attention can be valuable if the attention flatters the host. A guest who brings controversy can become a liability. Harry and Meghan now carry an unpredictable media charge. Invite them to a wedding, and the story may become whether Meghan was snubbed at the table, whether Harry spoke to a former prime minister, whether they leaked details, whether the seating plan was political, whether they were photographed too much or too little, whether they were included in official images, and whether the hosts are taking sides in the royal drama. For a bride and groom who want their own story, that is not appealing. This is the shift critics have been watching. In the early Sussex period, associating with Harry and Meghan looked like a fashionable moral position. They were the glamorous rebels who had escaped a cold institution. Meghan was framed by supporters as a modern woman mistreated by an old monarchy.
Katy Perry, who's got her head screwed on, she's not a stupid girl. She's thinking, if I invite these two upstarts, we're going to have bad headlines. There's going to be a fight over what was written in the invitation. There's going to be a row over whether they were photographed at the venue. Meghan may have been a victim of some microaggression over the wedding cake, that she wasn't offered the cake first.
She didn't get to cut it.
That's exactly it. So, would you invite this couple who...
Harry was the wounded prince protecting his family. Celebrities could support them and feel progressive, compassionate, anti-tabloid and anti-establishment. But the longer the story went on, the more complicated it became. The Oprah interview, the Netflix series, Spare, repeated attacks on the royal family, commercial disappointments, legal battles, and privacy contradictions all made the couple harder to embrace without cost. Hollywood can forgive failure when it comes with effort, humility, reinvention, or genuine creative work. It is less patient with grievance that does not produce results. Meghan's difficulty is that she is trying to build a lifestyle identity in a world full of people who have already done it at scale. Gwyneth Paltrow built Goop after an Oscar-winning acting career and years of cultural influence. Reese Witherspoon built a production company with a clear creative purpose. Martha Stewart built an empire out of domestic authority. Meghan has fame, taste, titles, and a story. But the question remains whether she has a business strong enough to stand when the royal drama is removed.
Killer place. And, especially, I would say it's worse for Harry than Meghan, because Meghan, okay, you know what the world of showbiz is like. You're hot, you're not hot. It changes by the day. It's a little bit like the stock market, And if Meghan does a different show with another streaming giant and then it's a hit, suddenly she's back in. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Peter Sellers, the comedy actor, if you remember him. And he was a massive star in across the world and in America. And then he had a few flop movies, and he was in LA, and he said there were famous.
As ever exists and sells products, but the wider debate continues over whether it is a durable brand or another extension of Meghan's personal news cycle. That is the brutal logic of Hollywood status. Attention gets you through the door once, but only value keeps you in the room. In 2018, Harry and Meghan had extraordinary value. They represented a new kind of royal glamour. They were young, international, photogenic, emotionally dramatic, and positioned as a bridge between monarchy and modern celebrity culture. For American stars, being near them offered a touch of royal history. For the royal family, the celebrity presence at the wedding made the institution look modern and global. Everyone was borrowing prestige from everyone else. But that kind of exchange only works while both sides are gaining. Once the Sussexes became associated less with glamour and more with complaint, the calculation changed. Celebrity circles are also extremely sensitive to contamination by somebody else's storyline. A Hollywood host wants a wedding to be about love, style, friends, music, beauty, and carefully controlled press. A political figure wants dignity, donor comfort, and no unnecessary spectacle. A brand-conscious celebrity wants photographs that make the event look elevated. Harry and Meghan complicate all of that because their presence automatically brings questions unrelated to the event. Did Meghan speak to Katie? Did Harry talk politics with Trudeau? Were they seated near major stars or tucked away? Was there tension with anyone connected to the royal family? Did they arrive with security? Did they brief afterward? Did they use the event to prove they are still A-list? Even if they behaved perfectly, the story could still become about them. That may be the most damaging part of their reputation now. The risk is not only what Harry and Meghan might do, it is what their presence makes everyone else talk about. They have become a narrative magnet. That is useful when they are the center of their own project, but it is unattractive when someone else is hosting. A wedding host does not want to spend days managing speculation over why Meghan was or was not photographed.
We know that he's not bringing any money in. The speaking engagements have gone from $1 million per speech to 50K, and even those jobs, I'm told, are not coming in. And then, he's made his money with Spare. Do they want a second book? Not by the looks of it. And of course, how does he rebuild his relationship with Charles if there's another book on the way? Ain't gonna happen. So financially, he's in the doo-doo, and his comfort zone, not making any money, is to say, all right, well, I don't make money, but I am this global figure. Well, wait a minute.
A political guest does not want to be dragged into Sussex reconciliation theories. A movie star does not want their casual greeting interpreted as an endorsement. In elite social life, the easiest problem is the one you never invite. That is why comparisons to Gwyneth Paltrow sting. Gwyneth is often mocked, but she has succeeded commercially and culturally. She can be eccentric because she has credibility, Hollywood history, and a functioning business. Meghan wants a similar space. Aspirational, domestic, intimate, premium, and slightly untouchable. But she is still fighting the perception that the product is secondary to the title. A jar, a bottle, a sprinkle, or a candle becomes interesting because it is Meghan's, and Meghan is interesting because she is the Duchess of Sussex. That royal afterglow is still doing heavy work. If Hollywood no longer finds the Sussexes socially useful, then the brand has to carry itself, and that is a much harder test. For Harry, the problem is even more existential. Meghan can always attempt another reinvention.
That Invictus is effectively shuttered after next year. At which point, what is Harry for?
Well, at that point, right, he's left royal life, so he's no longer a royal. He hasn't got Invictus Games, which I think is a very noble event.
It's a great event.
I think it's quite sad that it might be on.
Well, the people are great. The events, not so much.
Well,
the people are great. I mean, I only say that with the outrageous cost, but I love the veterans involved.
The charity stuff, that's all dried up with the whole Centibale scandal, right? So what's left to him? Well, what's left to him, Mark, is appearing down on a Zoom.
She can return to television, reshape as ever, publish, produce, appear on cooking shows, or try a new media format. Her background is entertainment, and entertainment allows comebacks. Harry's identity is narrower. He is not an actor, businessman, politician, or creative executive in any natural sense. He is a prince who left royal duty and tried to convert royal moral capital into a new role as a global humanitarian. That role depends on credibility. It depends on people believing he is more than a royal exile, more than a memoir author, and more than a celebrity husband. It depends on Invictus, veterans, mental health, service, and access to serious rooms. That is why being excluded from a Trudeau-linked social circle would matter symbolically. Harry wants to be seen in the world of former presidents, prime ministers, global philanthropists, foundation leaders, and public intellectuals. He wants to be the kind of person who can sit beside Barack Obama, Justin Trudeau, Bill Clinton, or major humanitarian figures and be treated as a peer. But those rooms have their own standards. The people inside them may be political, ambitious, and image conscious, but they usually understand discretion. They know when to speak and when to stay quiet. Harry's problem is that he has repeatedly made private family grievance part of his public work. That makes him less safe as a social and diplomatic asset. Invictus remains the strongest part of Harry's public life because it is rooted in real service. The games give wounded, injured, and sick service personnel and veterans a platform, a community, and a visible celebration of resilience. Harry's connection to the military gave the project authenticity from the beginning. Even many critics who are tired of his royal complaints still respect the original mission of Invictus. But even Invictus has come under pressure as costs, funding, sponsorship, and the 2027 Birmingham edition draw public scrutiny. Official planning continues, sponsors have been announced, and the UK government has underwritten part of the cost as a contingency. So it would be wrong to say Invictus is finished.
Because where's the wedding going to happen?
Well, Mark, the wedding is going to happen most likely in Montecito itself, Harry and Meghan's backyard. They're completely ostracised, right, Mark? I mean, Paula Frolic, like you say, great show. She was on this show as well. Amazing episode. Go watch it if you can find it. We'll put it in the description below. She said all their neighbours in Montecito hate them. And why is that, Mark? Do you know?
Well, I know that it's been reported that they're not exactly locally active.
But it is fair to say that the games now carry more questions than they once did. The funding issue matters because it cuts directly against the image Harry needs. Invictus should feel above celebrity gossip. It should feel bigger than court cases, palace accommodation, and whether Meghan appears on camera. When questions arise about government underwriting, sponsorship gaps, operating budgets, and whether the event can maintain public confidence, the burden on Harry grows. He does not run every logistical detail, and the games have professional organisers, trustees, partners, and official structures. But he is the face. If the event succeeds, he benefits from the moral authority. If it struggles, critics will ask whether the Sussex circus has become too expensive, too distracting, or too dependent on Harry's personal drama. That is why Harry cannot afford to become merely a celebrity guest in his own life. If he is not a working royal, not a major producer, not a political leader, and not fully embraced by Hollywood, then Invictus becomes the foundation stone. It is the one thing that says his public life is not just grievance. It says there are real people helped by his platform. It says the prince who served in the army still has a service identity beyond palace complaint.
Quite abandoned.
Wow. That's shocking.
Yeah, that was widely reported.
That was one of their neighbours.
Mm-hmm.
Dear
The guy
me.
that's been there, living there for years.
I mean,
It's quite a
disgraceful
historic
way.
place, Montecito. It wasn't always the playground of the rich.
Deary me. They really are up themselves, aren't they, those two? Well, look, apparently that doesn't fly well with their other neighbours, big name neighbours. Gwyneth Paltrow, Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Costner, Steven Spielberg, you may have heard of him.
Once or twice.
Sunday Express is hearing that all of them, without fail, are keeping their distance from the Sussexes. And this one, Mark.
But foundations need maintenance. If Harry uses Invictus trips as stages for security arguments, family reunions, and Meghan-focused optics, he weakens the very thing that could save his reputation. That is dangerous for Harry because Invictus is not just another charity project. It is the central proof that his post-royal life has substance. Without it, what remains? A memoir, a Netflix series, a string of lawsuits, occasional speeches, a security battle, a brand ecosystem built more around Meghan, a family feud. That is not enough to sustain the image of a global statesman. If Invictus thrives and remains focused on competitors, Harry has a real public purpose. If Invictus becomes associated mainly with Sussex drama, costs, security fights, and media coverage of Meghan, then even his best project becomes vulnerable. The irony is that Harry's strongest work requires him to be less visible as a personality and more disciplined as a patron.
An hour and a half away. Lots of land, much safer as well. Security, all the rest of it, which is why all these big stars are there. And it's gotta really hurt. I mean, the falling out, which I reported on the Mark Dolan show between Gwyneth Paltrow and Meghan, was wild. And this is because Gwyneth Paltrow, who's an incredibly talented actress, I mean, in my opinion, James, Gwyneth is everything that Meghan wants to be. Because Gwyneth did a bit of acting, consequences of which...
Invictus should be about competitors, families, rehabilitation, adaptive sport, and the communities that support veterans. When Harry appears, the attention should flow through him to the cause. Too often, however, the attention stops at him. Will Meghan attend? Will his children come to Britain? Will he see the king? Where will he stay? What security will he receive? What did the palace brief? And how does William feel? That is the curse of the Sussex brand. It turns causes into chapters in the Harry and Meghan story. Eventually, organizations may ask whether the attention is worth the disruption. That same calculation applies socially in Hollywood. A wedding is not a charity. A host does not need a mission statement to exclude guests who might complicate the day. If Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau, or any similar power couple, are planning a tightly controlled event, they would naturally ask who brings warmth and who brings risk. Harry and Meghan bring fame, but fame alone is not always enough. They also bring headlines that may overpower the hosts. They bring a royal feud that nobody wants to inherit.
Selling her weird candles. But they're doing well.
Well, what she's got, Gwyneth, is something called eggs, which go in an intimate region.
Dear me, we'll move
the
on.
lady. Yeah. And I'm not gonna, I don't have to say where the egg goes. I could say that,
Use your imagination.
well, the
people.
eggs
Use your
would go
imagination.
where the eggs maybe would in principle
Right.
emanate from.
Yeah.
Okay? And so the egg goes back in. I just want you to know, full disclosure.
They bring a reputation for briefing and counter-briefing. They bring passionate supporters and equally passionate critics. In an image-managed world, that is a lot to invite into the room. The Montecito angle adds another layer. Harry and Meghan live in one of the wealthiest, most celebrity-filled communities in California. Montecito has Oprah Winfrey, Gwyneth Paltrow, and other major names within its broader social ecosystem. It is precisely the kind of place where the Sussexes might have imagined building an American aristocracy of their own, private, wealthy, tasteful, philanthropic, protected, and socially elite. Yet reporting over the years has suggested a more complicated local picture. Some locals appear indifferent. Some stories have claimed the couple are not especially embedded in community life. One elderly neighbour, a Navy veteran, said he tried to welcome them with films about local history and felt rebuffed. None of this proves universal neighbourhood hostility, but it contributes to a perception that the Sussexes live among elites without being fully embraced by them. That is a lonely image. A mansion in a celebrity enclave, surrounded by people whose approval matters, but whose doors may not be open. The Sussexes left Britain partly to escape hierarchy, but Hollywood has its own hierarchy. It is less formal than monarchy, but just as ruthless. There are no titles, but there are invitations. There are no balcony appearances, but there are guest lists. There are no court circulars, but there are red carpets, charity boards, dinner tables, and private group chats. In that world, status is constantly measured. If the Sussexes are not appearing at the right events, if old allies are colder, if major hosts avoid them, the message travels without anyone needing to say it out loud. Oprah is an important part of that story because she gave Harry and Meghan their most powerful American platform. The 2021 interview changed the global conversation around the royal family and positioned the Sussexes as truth-tellers against an institution. But even Oprah, according to some commentary, has appeared less publicly connected to them in recent years. Whether that is a deliberate distancing.
Multi-millionaires, the whole country's built on a philosophy of pull yourself up by the bootstraps, as Thatcher famously said. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, sort yourself out, get your life in order, and stop whinging so much, right?
I think that's
What does he do? He's the perennial whinger.
And he's become a figure of ridicule on the late night talk shows, which were previously quite Harry friendly, and now they're mocking him.
Well, they're having him on, right? They're having him on to tell his story.
Letting him make a fool of himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is, again, Hollywood's not taking him seriously. Hollywood's a band.
Or simply the natural fading of a media cycle is hard to prove. Still, the perception matters. When the biggest names who once surrounded the Sussex launch no longer seem visibly present, critics see decline. The Clooney comparison works the same way. George and Amal Clooney attended Harry and Meghan's wedding in 2018. But in recent years, they have appeared more publicly aligned with King Charles through events such as the King's Trust. The point is not that the Clooneys have declared war on the Sussexes. They have not. The point is that successful people tend to gravitate toward stable institutions, effective causes, and reputationally safe partnerships. Charles has the King's Trust, William has Earthshot. Catherine has early years and family-focused work. The working royals offer structure. Harry and Meghan offer volatility. For celebrities who want philanthropy without drama, the choice is not difficult. David Beckham's trajectory tells a similar story. Once close enough to be part of the broader Sussex social orbit, Beckham is now visibly associated with King Charles and British establishment life, especially after his knighthood.
I've heard not too much. What I want to know, what you think as a young hipster, what does she see in him? What does he see in her? Explain it to me. Break it down. Because there's an age gap, isn't there?
Well, I suppose there's a bit of an age gap, but I mean, she's very successful in her own right. He's a former Prime Minister, right? He was Prime Minister for God knows how long. You've got your laptop in front of you. You can look it up.
Yeah, I mean, certainly approaching a decade, I would say.
Yeah, he's a successful, powerful man in his twilight years.
Again, this is not only personal, it is a status signal. The most successful celebrity figures often want to be near continuity, legacy, and national recognition. They may enjoy glamour, but they do not want chaos attached to their names. Harry and Meghan's difficulty is that chaos has become part of their public package. This is where the source's second story about Andrew and Balmoral becomes unexpectedly relevant. At first glance, Andrew's situation and the Sussexes' Hollywood problem are very different. Andrew's downfall is tied to his association with Jeffrey Epstein, the loss of royal titles and patronages, public disgrace, legal scrutiny, and his removal from the centre of royal life. Harry and Meghan's problem is different. Voluntary royal exit, public criticism of the family, commercial ventures, and a fading celebrity halo. But both stories are about the same institutional instinct. People who bring reputational danger stop being invited. Reports that Andrew is not expected at Balmoral this summer show how royal exclusion works in practice. Balmoral is not just a Scottish holiday home, it is the royal family's private summer sanctuary, a place of memory, tradition, and informal family life. To be invited there is to remain part of the inner circle. To be absent is to be kept at a distance. Sources have suggested that Andrew's presence would create considerable sensitivities, which is polite royal language for a very obvious problem. His attendance would overshadow everyone and reopen wounds the palace once contained. There is also a family psychology to Balmoral. Royal watchers often speak about institutions, titles, and constitutional roles, but Balmoral is where the family is supposed to breathe. It is where children play, cousins gather, walks are taken, meals are informal, and the royal machine briefly slows down. That is exactly why a controversial presence can feel so intrusive. A public scandal at a state event is bad enough. A scandalous figure inside the family's private sanctuary is worse because it poisons the one space that is supposed to feel protected. If Andrew cannot be trusted not to turn a relaxed family gathering into a headline, exclusion becomes the only practical answer.
A raise if he does come to Balmoral. I think that's just a polite way, Mark, of saying he's going to give everyone the creeps. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think it's not surprising. I think it's a smart move and maybe demonstrates a slightly more robust approach, a more muscular approach from the king, who was certainly a bit firmer with Harry in recent times, with that row over Buckingham Palace. You know, the king he said, look, I need a week's notice if you're going to take a room at the palace. Harry reportedly says 2 days beforehand, I'll take a room. King Charles is like, sorry, a deal's a deal.
The same private space logic explains William's resistance to Harry and Meghan. A brotherly reunion is not just a handshake. It would involve homes, children, spouses, memories, and the risk that any human moment could later be interpreted publicly. William has seen enough to know that private Sussex-adjacent moments rarely stay emotionally simple. Even silence becomes material for speculation. Even a refusal becomes a headline. So he does what any future king with a vulnerable family might do. He reduces exposure. That may look cold, but from his perspective, it is probably a form of protection. Andrew has denied wrongdoing in relation to the Epstein-related allegations that have followed him for years, and it is important to maintain the distinction between legal guilt and public reputation. But monarchy is not a courtroom. The royal family does not have to wait for a criminal conviction to make decisions about public image, family access, or institutional risk. Andrew's association with Epstein, his disastrous public explanations and years of scandal have made him a liability. Charles has had to balance family loyalty with the monarchy's survival.
I think what you're now seeing is the new look relationship between the family and the black sheep.
Yeah. Devil's advocate here, Mark. He's not been prosecuted, right?
It's a very fair point.
Innocent until proven guilty. You know, I'm going to make devil's advocate here. Should they be ostracising him if he's not been found guilty of anything?
You're a massive fan. You love Prince Andrew.
Stop that now. Stop that now.
I told you admire him.
Not a chance. No, he's not a role model. He's terrible. But anyway.
That is why Andrew has been moved away from the old centre of royal life, why public appearances have been limited, and why Balmoral is now reportedly off the table. The comparison with Harry is not moral equivalence. Harry has not done what Andrew is accused of. The situations should not be collapsed into one. But the logic of exclusion is similar. Families, institutions, and elite social circles all ask the same question eventually. Does this person bring more value or more damage? Andrew brings damage. Harry and Meghan, in a different way, are increasingly seen by critics as bringing drama. That is why both stories appear in the same conversation. One is the disgraced royal brother being kept away from Balmoral. The other is the exiled royal couple allegedly being kept away from a Hollywood political wedding. Different scales, different causes, same mechanism. King Charles's handling of Andrew also reveals the limits of forgiveness. Charles may be personally loyal, he may feel a duty to provide some level of support, security and housing for his younger brother. He may remember promises made to Queen Elizabeth II. He may believe that whatever Andrew's failings, he remains family. But Charles also knows the monarchy cannot look as if it is indulging him. That is why the solution becomes compromise. Andrew is not entirely abandoned, but he is not allowed to live as if nothing happened. He is protected enough to avoid greater disaster, but excluded enough to show the public that boundaries exist. That model may eventually apply to Harry as well. Charles may want to see his son and grandchildren. He may offer private meetings, secure accommodation, or quiet family contact. But he cannot allow Harry and Meghan to behave as if they are simply back in royal favour without consequence. If he does, William will object, the public will notice, and the institution will look weak. The future of the monarchy does not depend on Harry's comfort. It depends on the credibility of the working royal family, especially William and Catherine. Charles can forgive privately, but he must govern the institution publicly. That is why the Buckingham Palace accommodation debate matters. Reports say Harry may be offered a room during a future UK visit after previous confusion over whether he accepted an earlier offer in time. On a practical level,
Landing spot for Andrew.
Certainly, and I should reiterate I was making the devil's advocate position. My actual position on Andrew is much harsher, and I think actually, in my book, Mark, Charles hasn't gone far enough. Sources told the Times this, right, Mark, that Andrew spends much of his time watching TV, walking his dogs, and making the most of his a modest stipend, supposedly, from Charles. For my money, Mark, King Charles shouldn't be giving Andrew anything, right? The guy has done, he might not have been found guilty in a court, but we do know of his behaviour.
A palace room provides security. On a symbolic level, it is royal rehabilitation. Harry does not need a balcony to benefit from that. The headline alone is enough. The King offers Harry Buckingham Palace. For Harry and Meghan, that kind of headline proves they are still inside the royal story. For critics, it looks like the palace giving them status they no longer earned through duty. The Sussex's biggest remaining asset is proximity to royalty. Hollywood fame has cooled. Streaming glory has become uneven. The audio era ended. Meghan's lifestyle brand is still trying to prove itself. Harry's legal battles have created both victories and defeats, with the Associated Newspaper's loss particularly damaging. Invictus remains meaningful, but even that now faces funding and focus questions. What still reliably generates global attention? Charles, William, Diana, Buckingham Palace, Althorp, Archie and Lilibet's titles, security disputes, royal invitations. The old institution they left remains the engine of their relevance.
Always justify itself because it's paid for by the taxpayer. The goodwill of the people allow the continuity of the monarchy. So if, for example, King Charles is too generous to Andrew and welcomes him to Balmoral and gives him a stipend and lets him stay in the Royal Lodge, that becomes a political problem for the king, because newspapers like the Daily Express and shows like this will say, wait a minute, why am I paying for this guy to live high on the hog?
Exactly.
So that's a political problem for Charles from a constitutional point of view. So that's why we've had the tough love. But why?
That is why social snubs hurt more now than they would have 5 years ago. In 2021, Harry and Meghan could frame exclusion as proof that old systems feared them. In 2026, exclusion looks more like fatigue. People are tired of the drama. They are tired of the leaks, lawsuits, accusations, and contradictions. They may still click on the stories, but clicking is not the same as respect. A celebrity can be famous and unwanted at the same time. That is perhaps the most difficult reality for the Sussexes. They still generate attention. But attention is not the same as belonging. Belonging is what Harry seems to have lost most deeply. He no longer belongs inside the working monarchy. He does not fully belong inside Hollywood because he is not an entertainer. He does not fully belong among political leaders because he is not a politician. He does not fully belong among philanthropists because his causes are constantly overshadowed by personal grievance. He does not fully belong in Britain because he left and attacked the institution. He does not fully belong in America because his value there is tied to the British royalty he rejected. That in-between status is unstable. Meghan's position is also unstable, but in a different way. She knows how to perform modern celebrity. She understands image, lifestyle, product, and controlled intimacy. She can survive by shifting formats, but the public's trust in her is fragile. Each new project is judged not only on its own terms, but through the accumulated story of ambition, grievance, and reinvention. If, as ever, succeeds on quality and repeat customers, she can build something. If it depends mainly on royal curiosity, the ceiling is lower than she wants. Hollywood respects money and success. It does not respect endless explanation. This is where the Perry-Trudeau wedding rumor becomes a metaphor. Whether or not the specific guest list reporting proves correct, it captures the question now hanging over the Sussexes: are they still people others want in the room? Not on a podcast, not in a headline, not in a carefully managed friendly article, but in the actual private room where status is real.
Sort of relatively humble setting. He's got someone cooking his meals, but he's not exactly, sort of. It's not.
Not the full royal kit and caboodle, right?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's the compromise, and I think, but Balmoral is a smart move. I mean, can you imagine if he was there, grinning like the idiot that sometimes he can be? And the other issue is you don't want to give him any encouragement. Do you remember when the Duchess of Kent sadly passed?
Are they trusted? Are they fun? Are they discreet? Are they useful? Do they elevate the event, or do they drag the event into their own narrative? If the answer is uncertain, hosts will quietly avoid the risk. The same applies to royal family gatherings. Andrew is reportedly not wanted at Balmoral because he would make the holiday about Andrew. Harry and Meghan are not wanted by William because any meeting could become a story about Harry and Meghan. Hollywood hosts may not want them because any party could become a Sussex headline. That is the common thread. People who absorb oxygen stop being invited. It is not always punishment. Sometimes it is self-protection. For the monarchy, the lesson is boundaries. Andrew shows what happens when scandal is allowed to sit too long inside the institution. Harry and Meghan show what happens when private family conflict becomes public entertainment. Charles must handle both with care, but care does not mean indulgence. He can make sure Andrew is safe without letting him return to symbolic family life. He can see Harry privately without allowing a Sussex soft return. He can love people who have damaged the institution without making the institution pay the price for that love. For William, the lesson is probably even clearer. His future depends on stability, not sentiment. He will not want Andrew anywhere near the public face of the monarchy, and he will not want Harry and Meghan near the private life of his family unless trust is rebuilt in a serious way. William's strength has become his refusal to be dragged into emotional theatre. He does not need to attack Harry publicly. He does not need to brief endlessly. He can simply withhold access in royal life. Silence and distance can be more powerful than any statement. For Harry and Meghan, the warning is harsher. They cannot build a life on being endlessly wronged. They cannot rely forever on royal trauma, wedding invitations, security arguments, and celebrity associations. At some point, they need a stable identity that does not depend on who excluded them or who might include them again. Meghan needs a product and a brand that can stand without royal oxygen. Harry needs a purpose that is not constantly swallowed by grievance. The children need privacy that is not converted into image management. And both of them need to understand that elite circles are not charities. They do not keep inviting people out of sympathy. The cruelest part of social decline is that it often happens quietly. There is no official announcement. No one sends a statement saying the Sussexes are no longer A-list. The invitations simply slow. The seating gets worse. The old allies stop appearing. The friendly photo opportunities dry up. The big events happen without them. then one day a rumoured wedding becomes a referendum on whether they still matter. That is why this story has landed so strongly. It confirms what many critics believe they have been seeing for some time. The Sussexes still have fame, but their social value has fallen. Still, the story should be handled with caution. A rumoured wedding guest list is not a legal document. Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau have not publicly issued a list excluding Harry and Meghan. It is possible the whole wedding narrative shifts. It is possible the Sussexes were never close enough for an invitation in the first place. But even if the details change, the underlying analysis remains. Harry and Meghan's challenge is no longer simply getting attention. They can do that. Their challenge is turning attention into respect, trust, and durable belonging. That is much harder. In the end, the rumoured wedding snub and Andrew's reported Balmoral exclusion are two sides of the same royal status story. Andrew shows how far someone can fall when scandal makes their presence toxic. Harry and Meghan show a softer but still serious version of reputational decline. Not disgrace in the Andrew sense, but social fatigue, elite caution, and a growing sense that they bring complications wherever they go. The monarchy is learning to keep liabilities at arm's length. Hollywood may be doing the same. And for a couple who once believed they could trade royal duty for global influence, that is the most uncomfortable message of all. They did not just leave the palace. They may now be discovering that the rooms they expected to enter afterward are no longer waiting for them.